Hi guys, this is Jeff, the Seattle Ring Hunter, and today I'm going to demonstrate to you the latest search and recovery tool that I put together. It's not my original design. It's been in use for a number of years, different variations of it, and this is my variation of it. It's called this PVC Submersible Grid, and it's being used for having a rigid grid structure when you're underwater doing search and recovery of a small item. Or you want to clear out a certain area. Municipalities, police, and rescue guys would probably use this. Sometimes if they're looking to clear an evidence scene to make sure that if there's anything in a certain area, that they have a complete coverage of it. Of course, we're here to recover small items such as lost wedding rings and potentially a set of car keys, which would be a little bit easier to find. But in murky lakes where they get pretty stirred up when you're at the bottom and the visibility quickly goes to almost next to nothing, it's nice to have a rigid structure down below. There's other ways of doing it, but this is another tool in our toolbox, and we're going to give this one a crack and give it a try and see how it works out for us. So there's been other recovery specialists across the country that have used this exact same design, and it's actually been very beneficial for them in some very low-flowing rivers and lake bottoms, ponds, streams, marinas, you name it. So you can see that the application is pretty big. This is actually a 10 by 20 grid with 4 sections to it, as you'll see a little bit later on here, with 5-foot wide sections in it. So it's pretty easy to always maintain a physical hold onto the grid. The diver can actually be underwater and he can search with the metal detector between the grids and then make his way back to his downline, basically, that's going to be floating on the surface, so he can have a safe egress to his dive flag or his dive boat or whatever the case may be up top. So right now we'll go ahead and show you on top of the car here. We have it inside of a 6-inch PVC pipe for transport, because there's a lot of small pipe, a lot of 1-inch PVC inside of it that constructs the grid. And we're going to go ahead and go through the process and show you how this can be transported without having a pickup truck. I can put these 10-foot pieces of PVC pipe inside of this long one here, and we'll go ahead and show the back end here. Got a cap on the end here that's easily removable, and then we have an extra section here, so we have some extra space, as you'll see as we pull this apart, up in the front end for some of the smaller pieces in a little bag and a kit. And I've also got a kayak set of wheels for kayaks that you've seen. You can buy them at REI or any online spot. Quite common, and it can put some wheels on this, and I can easily drag it at distance from a parking lot through a long distance to get to the water's edge to build it. Then we'll go ahead and demonstrate what we do. Wet pool noodles, foam installation you put around your pipes, basically. The kids beat each other in a swimming pool with them. We've got sections of that we're using for flotation of this rig once we get it on the surface of the water. And then once we pull those noodles off, there's holes drilled in these 1-inch pieces of PVC that allow it to flood and sink to the bottom. And when it's tied off, we can bring it back up to the surface, reestablish the noodles to give it buoyancy, and swim it or pull it or get it back to the surface or to the dock of wherever we're trying to get it back to. So we'll go ahead and go through this. I'll demonstrate how it gets hauled off the vehicle. Fortunately, this piece here, I've got a rope here in the middle, as you'll see, and I can use this as a handle. And it's actually, I can manage this all by myself, which is nice. It's not too heavy. I can actually get it off the vehicle onto the ground without any additional help or support, so that's really nice as well. It's just plastic, but it's bulky, and you got these long 10-foot pieces whopping around, and they're rigid when you're underwater, but 10-foot piece of PVC, and you'd be wiggling all over the place and stuff flying all over the place, especially if you have to go to distance from the parking area all the way to the water's edge. So here we go. So we have from Suspends, it's a pretty well-known brand, I guess, as far as these little kayak carts are concerned, but real nice and convenient because they pack down really small and light, easy to put together. They got some easy clips in here, as you'll see, that we just basically pull those right out, drop a wheel on there, put the pin back in, and that secures the wheel. Go ahead and do that on both sides. I like it because it can compact it when it's when you tear it down, it's real small. It's even got a little kickstand. Isn't that cute? So we put the kickstand on here. Actually, we're gonna line this up so when we take it off of the car, we can just set it right on top of there. And it's got these straps that will run around it to secure it. Got our little ratchet straps here. Subaru's got a nice little, you can see in there, really nice little cleats that you can go around. So that's another one, a win for the Subaru. Thanks a lot, guys, over there at Subaru. You did a great job on that design for tie downs. These guys here will secure in the car so we don't lose those. We're going to go ahead and see that there. I can basically take this whole thing and lay it right down on top of here. Put our kickstand in. And again, we got a nice little strap system here. You could trim these back a little bit. I probably won't, in case I want to use it for a kayak or something later on that's got a lot bigger body to it. I don't want to sacrifice the straps for that. But just tie those around there to keep them from dragging and catching on the bushes and stuff as you get to the water's edge. So here we go. Look at this. We got a nice little set of wheels. We can move this all around. I'm gonna pull it up here. We're gonna set up over here, demonstrate what this looks like once we get all the PVC put together. One-handed pulling this thing is real easy. I think it's gonna work out pretty well. They've done a really good design on these little kayak carts, I have to say. Sure beats trying to make my own or build one. It was just easier just to buy one. It really doesn't take much time to put the cart together. So now we'll go ahead. The 10-foot, the 6-inch diameter PVC pipe here, I actually got it at Lowe's. That pipe there had the end like this here, so they actually sold this other piece here, and I left it that length, and it's glued here, and the cap here is glued on. So that section is glued together down there, and over here the cap is not glued on, obviously, and you can hear that vacuum. So the way I designed that is I went ahead and put some washers in there, and because of these holes that are drilled in here, actually allows the cap to come off easier, because if not, you're going to have a vacuum on there and it's going to be real difficult to get that off. You could be fighting that for a while. The small pieces I put in this bag here as a kit. We're going to use tie straps, wire ties, to terminate all of the PVC pipe connections. We got some tools tied off here so we don't lose them. Could be building this in the morning when it's not too bright out, getting ready. And you'll see what how we use those in a minute. So basically we've got some legs and T's, 4 legs, and you'll see how that comes together in just a moment here. Then inside everything kind of from floating all over the place. Super easy to get that out. I believe it's a 3/8 inch a drill bit every 12 inches. We put a hole through this. 1 inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe. And as you'll see, we'll go ahead and start getting our long pieces out. So in the middle, we have our 4-way coupler. A little smaller hole here that we've measured. As you can see there, that hole lines up. If you need to just kind of line it up a little bit, that's what this centering punch is for, just to help with the construction if it gets a little bit, because I need to thread. Wire tie straps are there. And we've got some, you got your 10-foot pieces there. You got several sections of the 5-foot pieces. So in our corner, we bring our pieces together, and we got a little bit of a leg there. As you can see, that leg will help kind of hold the grid into place. You're going to be down in the silt. That's probably going to be silted all the way up in some conditions, some situations. This is all plastic. You have a metal detector, even if you went over the top of this a little bit and there's metal underneath it, or you could take your metal detector and just get it underneath the. So once we constructed this, we're at the water's edge. We can go ahead and get these pool noodles. And as you'll see, there's just a cut down them. We're going to try this configuration first and see how it floats. If we need to add a few or put them in different positions, something we'll have to consider here. You can find these with a little bit more of a 1-inch inside diameter. It might work a little bit better with your pipe. This is what I found. Currently, I might still keep my eyes open to see if I find something else. These are nice and thick though, so they should have a lot of buoyancy in them. Closed cell foam. Should have a pretty decent buoyancy. This thing, of course, is not all that heavy. And then of course we put the other two on. So once you get those two on, then you could take this whole rig, and if it's all tied together, this won't happen with the wire ties. They'll be strapped and locked in together like this situation right here. Then you could basically take the whole unit, just kind of move it out into the water. You know, you can scoot it around, drag it into the water, get it floating, and then move it over the area. When you're in the water, then you could take off the pool noodles one at a time, secure them to your dive float or whatever the situation may be, if you have a boat or dive float. And then this thing will start to fill up because you got 3/8 inch holes drilled all the way through both sides, straight through. And this will fill up full of water. This whole grid will fill up full of water, and it'll go right down to the bottom. You'll want to have a rope or something tied to it before you let it go all the way down if you're at a little bit of distance. That way you definitely would have something on top floating, so you could actually be at the top surface and slowly pull the rig back up to the surface to reestablish flotation with your pool noodles. So let's use our imagination for a bit that this is down at the bottom. This is in the silt a little bit. We've got a rope tied on maybe here, for example. The diver's come down, he's down below, and you kind of keep a handhold onto the unit and the grid, and you can basically you can swim and keeping your hand on here even without seeing what's going on. If you have to stop for a second or whatever, keep your hand there and get down through the silt. You might find your target. So I think it's going to work out pretty good. Basically, you're going to be able to cover the whole area. Come around. Once you get to the end, turn around, you're going to get yourself a 10 by 20 grid knocked out. And be very assured that you've hit all that. If you're using ropes, you don't want to have any opportunity where a diver might get tangled up in a dive line trying to do circle searches and all this other stuff, or the line gets wrapped up against some of the vegetation, you start going off in a different direction for a minute. The other thing too to remember is not just 10 by 20. You got a good 5-foot reach, so you can basically go on the outside edge and you can go all the way around the whole perimeter and knock out even more area. So once you're satisfied with your search, you still got a handle on this, you can get yourself all the way back. Maybe your rope's tied here, for example. Maybe you tied it in the middle. You can get all your gear situated, and you can start to make your ascent to go up if you so desire to end your dive. Now we'll go ahead, deconstruct all this and pack it up and take off. Now we're going to go ahead and tear it down, pack it back up, and be done with our underwater grids. So you would have the wire ties everywhere. Take little cutters, put our trash in here, take that with us, and then we can start to dismantle the rest of this. Once we got all of our pieces picked up and accounted for inside of the bag, we got that secure. We're not going to leave anything behind. We'll make sure we have everything for the next time. I like to collect the long pieces first and shoot them down my storage pipe. And as you can see in there, we have plenty of room for our gear bag, our accessory pack. All those pieces are nice and tidy, collected in that bag. Put our lid on. There you go. We got some more pool noodles, metal detector. We got a rig, and we're good to go. Our handy little kayak cart back in the bag, easy to take. Stow that. This is going to ride just fine. I've already tested this and it stays real secure, no bouncing or wobbling around. It's not going anywhere. The lid actually is quite fine at freeway speeds. It's not a problem. Nothing's going to fall out of there. You have to really work to get that lid off of there, and it's not a lot of PVC pipe, and it's down there such a ways that there's no problem as far as concerns of that falling out while you're driving. So there you go, guys. That's the underwater submersible grid, PVC pipe grid, and I want to send a little special thanks out to John out in Houston, Texas. He's got the Extreme Scoop, so if you're in the market for a metal detection scoop, one of the hottest ones on the market right now, get in touch with Extreme Scoops and get yourself one. They're amazing. John's developed and designed that all himself. He gave me some pointers and tips on the one that the submersible grid that he built, and he's used it several times with success. So we hope that we can get some recoveries with this grid system, and that's all it takes right there. I came up with the rest of this contraption. I don't have a pickup truck, so I had to come up with a way to be able to get all these pipes to the water's edge and get them in the water, get it all back together and keep it as a kit, and so that's what we came up with. You got any comments or suggestions on what you've done in this type of a system, or what you like, don't like, anything, leave them in the comments below. Once again, if you've lost anything of value in the Seattle, Washington area, give me a call, the Seattle Ring Hunter, at 206-618-8194. If that's up in the dirt, the sand, the grass, or underwater, get in touch with me and we'll see if we can't make a recovery happen for you. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers. Until next time, be safe. If you've lost your ring or special item of value, please get in touch with me at theseattleringhunter.com as soon as possible so I can arrange to do a search for you.